You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Straight off the streets of Compton, dedicated and by most suckers hated. Would you put your hands together for Eazy-E and N.W.A.
Y'all gotta go pick up this book. This man is no joke. This book will open up a lot of doors on your thinking of the music business. He is music business at its best. What advice would you have for an upcoming artist these days?
Let me tell you what I find nowadays, and like I said to you before, I think the music business is in a terrible state of affairs. I blame downloading for nothing. It's not downloading. It's the fact that we're trying to get young people to buy a record for $18.99 that only has 2 or 3 good cuts on it. You can't expect people to buy a record for $18.99 that has 19 cuts or 17 cuts of which only 2 or 3 are any good. Of course they're going to download. They're not going to buy that record. So the big companies have backed themselves into a corner where they're trying to justify this high price by putting more tracks on a record. We should go back to the old days of Carole King and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, where you have 10 or 11 cuts on a record. Every one is what they call a single. There's no fillers. And drop the record price down to 8 or 9 or 10 or even $11.99. But we have to get it down there where people are going to buy records again rather than just buying segments of records. So I think that the music business is in a very bad place because 3 or 4 people run the business, all of whom I have a great deal of respect for.
Who are those people?
Clive Davis, who's an old friend of mine. He believed in me before I believed in me and gave me my first label in 1970. Doug Morris and Jimmy Iovine, very important guys. Leora Cohen, very important guys. So we're talking about those people run the business. I get them all on the phone. Nobody else can. I mean, if you can't get one of those guys on the phone, you can't literally be in the music business today. We need independent labels again that will give young people on the streets a chance. Because there are so many talented people out there who have little companies built around producers and artists that just have no chance of getting anywhere but MySpace. And I love MySpace. There's nobody that's a bigger proponent of MySpace than I am. But the record business is a complicated business. It has to do with granting credit lines to chains of stores. There are lots of things outside of the music that makes you have a hit record. So I think that for people starting off, you got to remember a couple of things. You have to be unique. Okay, Eazy-E may not have been the greatest rapper that ever lived, but when you listen to an Eazy-E song, just like when you listen to Janis Joplin or you listen to Bob Dylan, there's no question in your mind who you're listening to. You don't say, I wonder who that is.
He sounds like, or is
he sounds like him. And so the thing you want to do, you got to have a unique quality, or you got to be able to do something better than anyone else can do it. To me, the greatest rock and roll guitar player ever, and I mean no offense to Eric Clapton, but to me it's Jimi Hendrix. And when you listen to a Jimi Hendrix song, I mean All Along the Watchtower, I mean whatever it is, when he plays guitar, you know it's Jimi Hendrix. Or you got to be the very first at what you do. And I think that NWA were the first people that really brought the messages of our inner cities to white middle-class America. Now, there had been other groups like Run DMC, who I have nothing but respect for, and of course Public Enemy, who I think is probably the second most important group of the entire gangster rap era.
Totally agree.
But what NWA brought was, Dre brought a sense of musicality, and Eazy brought a sense of humor, which the Bronx rappers didn't have. It was all about this and bling. And, you know, they didn't have that sense of humor, and they didn't have, of course, Dre's incredible musicality. And I even got to give Ice Cube, although I hate to, I got to give him some credit for his verbalization of the whole process. And I give myself, Jerry Heller, credit for putting it all together and financializing the whole thing. And like in the back of my book here, and I tried to make this book fun for everybody, I asked Ice-T for a quote. And it said, I met Jerry Heller once and just didn't trust him. That's what he said. I can dig that. Right. You know, he doesn't have to say nice things about me if that's the way he felt. Right. And Irving Azoff, who is the biggest manager in the history of the music business, right. He manages the Eagles and Jimmy Buffett and Aerosmith and Christina Aguilera and Seal. And he said, Jerry Heller's a fearless genius. He taught me well. Will from the Black Eyed Peas said, when I was 17, Jerry Heller taught me about the record industry. Without that knowledge, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have known how to protect myself. He was kind enough to show me the truth. And Dr. Dre said, I guess Jerry Heller picked the wrong nigga. So if that's the way he feels, like I said, let everybody read this book and decide for themselves.
Definitely.
The last quote on here, it said, Jerry Heller is one of the brightest guys I ever met. And I'm sure you can guess who said that. Jerry Heller said that.